Honest to give out my pups at the moment. Can you see them?
And I'm at the size where you can think about taking them off now, mate. To be honest.
There's 2 more the other side. Little coming off. I'm gonna leave it a bit longer.
Yeah, I mean, let them get to a decent size, and then just
I'll ask you to come round, have a look, see how I do it. Because last time I did it wrong.
It just is what it is. But this is my banana pup I planted up at the beginning of the year, and it's about 3 foot high now. This one here, that one.
The beauty, yeah.
Yeah. He's coming on. The one in the border's gone massive now. He's about 6 foot in the border.
This one, Missy stood under it the other night.
Yeah.
It's decent size. Yeah, it's a big one.
But I didn't think he was going to overwinter. Looking all right.
Evening, all.
Evening, Colin.
Evening.
Cool.
Muddy boots.
Wilt in here.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm on the ginger beer. Cheers. Done. Oh dear, you got some trunks on, Paul?
No, I'm naked. Naked gardener.
Hey?
Naked gardener.
Before the watershed, you know. Any sign of... Oh, there he is.
Are you warm, Mick?
How do you call?
All right, mate.
Bloody roasted.
Yeah.
Cooking in colleagues.
I put a fan on, but it's too noisy. I have to turn it off.
31 degrees here, it's saying in Tamworth.
That all?
Hey?
That all?
Got me a little strapper, but I can't find me a doctor. I'll find it when he's finished tonight. It'll be in the greenhouse after. What time is it? How many have we got on? 13. Better than now. Alright, Nige.
Hello there.
Steve Chambers is on, but I ain't heard him. You got your sound on, Steve?
Well, I'm going to tell him to turn it off in a minute, so I don't get
I've
to
heard
get
him.
it on.
I've heard him.
Oh, yeah.
Rita, are you on yet?
Hi, yeah, I've just signed on. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Brilliant. Right, people, it's gone 7 o'clock, so we make a start. If I can ask you all to mute yourselves, please. And then obviously, if you are one of my speakers, then as I introduce, you can click yourselves back on again. Right, let's get going. That day happened last Sunday, but we'll come on to that later on. Right, done. Right, back gardening, back home. These little chaps, lilies, they was doing well, and then is it the lily beetle, the red little chaps? You know, I caught a couple of them on them, squashed them, but 2 days after I noticed these underneath.
Yeah.
Now, are these the eggs, what I've hatched up, or is this what the lily beetle leaves behind? These little things.
I think they're POP, I think, Mick, haven't they?
The grubs, Mick.
That's the close-up, the little horror. They was inside all this crap. But they devastated them, so I've got to watch out for them next year now. Somewhere else.
Mm.
Right, this was last Saturday down the trading shed. Was bagging up from 1 ton bags. Spent mushroom compost, worm cast. Mark was down there getting us hand, luckily. Just to pass the time, 1 till 3 with trading sheds open. So if we get a lull, i.e. no customers, then we'll top up. And this was the maxi crop, as you can see, just distributing them into 1 litre jars. Just stocking up on the trading sheds. And the new shed, I got told off by Laura. I have to sweep out now after each sesh. Keeping a good box. That's a good egg. Hound loves the water. There's only this afternoon and all. Loves a mist spray on her. Ben's gone back home. Pig's here. We'll just come back for a walk. Loves it. Keep the peace with the hound. Right, this is early last week with the
Hello.
With the rain and the winds. When you do get the rain on them, the weight of the rain bends them over. And these were tied up, meaning I had to do it again. But the ones that are finished, which we'll come on to in a bit. But some decent size flower heads on these. They're getting better every year, like most plants. The ones where the winds had snapped them off, I thought, well, they've still got a bit of flower on. And I've seen a couple of posts on the Delphinium Society on Facebook, and they was exhibiting their delphiniums, meaning you can still put them in a vase. So I thought, well, I ain't going to bin them, waste them. And also I took some of the large flowers off. I thought I'm going to use them as well. With these, you've got to get the flowers themselves. Obviously, you've got to get as long a stem as you can, and the stem has got to go in the water. These are just 2 wine glasses, so we did that as well. So that one stayed in the kitchen, and the 2 small ones was in the living room. And these lasted 6 days before they started going. Obviously, you keep an eye on the water, but it's just a bit of something different, a bit extra. Right, I need a bin for home, so I'm emptying the old compost out down the plot. Plus, I need the compost as well, because I'm still using that as a growing medium. Still no compost in our trading sheds. And as you see where I got the chicken wire on the bottom, and that is looking through on the base. So there, you can see where the mole had his run underneath the bin when he was trying to nick me worms. So a nice brew out of that, and this lot when it gets home, that'll be rubbed out by hand. Beautiful stuff. Right, fruit trees on the plot. This is 3 weeks behind. This is June drop. There's nature looking after the fruit, and I've got some Boston fruit this year. Jet spray. You can see where I've cleaned the patio last week. Keep the peace with the gaffer. Another job out the road. Right, where the hound has been digging up, there is a grid over here to stop her digging, but I've bought my own compost, and what I'm going to do is fill the holes up, and up the side here where he was digging in there as well. So I'm putting my own compost in there. I ain't putting no grass seed in. I just want the grass eventually to come in from the sides and take over that way. Rita, are you ready for your little intro? If you remember last week, just a quick Rita, I asked people, I put my 3 favourite flowers on last week, and I said to everybody else, if anybody's got 3 flowers or something similar, just to put it on. And Rita sent me hers and is going to talk us through these. Excellent, thank you Rita, all yours.
Okay, right, yeah, thanks for letting me join you. So the first one is Hydrangea, as I'm sure most of you recognise. So I thought I'd take this opportunity when you said about 3 favourite flowers. It's not just about the flower itself, but more what it means to me. And so the story behind the hydrangea is that 2 years ago, at great effort, I dug up and removed all my hydrangea because I thought I wanted the space for other things. And then I couldn't believe it that the following year, 2 friends bought me hydrangea plants for my birthday. And I could hardly believe it. And I thought, oh, no. You know, I had no room for them. So I chose to ignore them and I suppose neglect them. And yet, to me, the beauty of this now is that it's flowering with no effort on my part, which is just a lovely surprise. So yeah, that's the uncertainty of gardening. I thought I didn't want hydrangeas, and yet they've come back to me and I love them. Yeah, next flower please, Mick. So this, I believe, is it called Feverfew? I think.
Yes.
So this flower, is it Feverfew?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, it is.
Thank you, Jerry.
Yeah. Thank you. So I don't know anything about it, but this flower was growing at the edge of my son's garden like a weed. And I just thought, that's nice. And it only had 1 or 2 flower heads on it. So I dug it up because he was going to just trim that edge. And I put it in my garden. And then this year, can hardly believe how many flowers I've got from that little plant. So the other idea around this flower for me is the definition of a weed. To him, it was growing in his garden like a weed, unwanted. And I took it away and planted it in my garden. And I love it. I just think it's beautiful.
Nice.
Next slide, please, Nick. Yeah, perhaps not the best of photographs, but it was, this foxglove was leaning over, so I sort of struggled to get a good picture of it. But basically, I think it's a beautiful flower, and it's been another surprise. As with lots of things like this, they just scatter their seeds around the garden and grow where they choose to grow. I didn't plant it there. A friend had given me some several years ago, which have since disappeared where I planted them. And now they randomly appear around my garden. And so to me, this flower represents the surprise that you get in gardening. It's not always where we put things or quite what we plan, but they often give us surprises. So yeah, those are my 3 flowers and my little story about challenges and rewards of gardening. Hope you
Lovely.
enjoyed it.
Excellent, Rita.
Well done, Rita.
Thank you, Rita.
Brilliant. Right, back on my plot. Top of my plot, this is, if I want to piddle, I'll piddle on the mat, as I've done before. Meaning that soaks it up, a bit of cloth on the mat there. If a badger comes along here, a fox or a cat, he will not go down my pathway. He will walk straight past because of the smell of the urine, and he'll go down the plot next door. It still works, still do it. Runners, started picking them. This is on the plot, obviously. Right, we've been from down the plot, which I need up the back garden. I've knocked all the soil off the bottom, and I've taken this grid off as well, because I don't need that, which we'll come on to later on. Right, this is Alstroemeria, front of the house. As you know, I dead everything up the back garden and on the front. With the Alstroemeria, you have to not deadhead them, but dead stem them, meaning you have to go right down to the bottom. Here's obviously when the flowers are finished, and pull them straight out from the bottom, and that way they will come back again, more so than just taking the top off, because the growth is still going into that plant stem, but there's no flowers on it. So if you take them off from the base, you open the plant out. So I've done that. Next thing I want to do is tie them up so that they can look a bit better, which they do there. If you remember that one there, a couple of months ago I had him from Lidl, and he's starting to put a bit of a spurt on now. Thinking about it, I should have put him right in the middle there, as far as I could have, so he's in the middle of them two. Anyway, weren't to be. Right, I've got quite a few talks coming in now, luckily. This is talks to gardening clubs, so I've got to start bagging up all my stuff, which I take to the talks and sell there. I had one confirmed last night, I'm going up to Grimsby. That's next year. That's the highest north I've been for a while. At 3 hours, I think it is. But looking forward to that. So I'll be taking the stuff up there. Obviously outside being a nice day because this smells bit in the kitchen when I used to do it. But there's no wind and I know there's not going to be no rain, so I'll do it outside in the open. Just weighing that out. And that's all ready. There's also doing a talk, I think it's Wednesday, to an allotment site of Solihull. Doing an outside talk there, a demo. So I'll be taking this lot up there as well. Right, our new sign which we had made for the gardening club, that's sticky back, and that was stuck onto a sheet of metal, which is perfect. We've just got to go back down to our shed, which we'll want to later on. Right, Rowley, our first new speaker tonight, Rowley from Milton Keynes. Well, I couldn't get a photo of it, so that's him there. If you'd like to explain that photo first, Rowley, and then what Rowley's talking about is biochar. I looked into this a few years ago. Fascinating subject. It's to me, nature is at its best, but it takes a while to do. But I think Rowley's going to do this over 3 parts. But it's all yours anyway. Rowley, all yours, mate.
Okie dokie. Well, the picture was actually taken at one of your talks at the Bedford Gardening Club. That's me on the left, obviously Mick. The next man along is the real chilli grower of the area, Dean Finley. And on his right is Darren Pritchard. Darren Pritchard, that's it. He's a pretty well-known shower down this end of the land. Obviously, Dean, it's brilliant if nobody's ever been lucky enough to get the tour of his, well, he calls it a chili lab. He's got so many chilies over there and peppers and God knows what else. Most of it's run on auto pot and all that type of thing. Setup. It's an absolute brilliant setup, not to be missed if you ever get the chance to it. Myself, I'm just an old pensioner that helps Marcus Powell run his Facebook site, exhibiting veg and flowers, and also I help out in the shop at the Philip Gardeners Association. But enough about me.
Yeah, Rolly. Steve, you got a question, mate? Got your hand up. Steve, you got your hand up. You got a question for him? No, carry on, Rolly. Sorry.
Oh, okie dokie. Are you going to move on to the pictures then, Mick? And
yeah.
Right. Basically, I've called this talk because there's so much of it, and undoubtedly people are going to pass comments and want to know why and wherefore and all the rest of it. So what I've called this, my biochar journey, part 1. And what I've done basically is, after reading various articles regarding the benefits of adding biochar to both your compost mixes, growing beds, I decided to have a crack at making it myself and trial the use of it myself. Right, obviously I make it out of single-use pallets, is what I do, that have been untreated with chemicals and what have you. Right, I've already got a single, an endless supply of all of the pallets. So I've got the wood. The idea was to make something to burn it in and give it a crack. So back to Mr. YouTube, went on there, nosed about, found an Australian farmer that makes it like this. So I thought, right, this will make a start. So I got a barrel, cut a hole in it, filled it up with wood and set fire to it. Simple as that, really. Obviously, because it had oil and what have you in it, I had a fire in it to start with to burn it off so that it was clean and there was no chemicals or anything left in it. So then I put the pallet wood in again, started a fire, and basically what you do is you burn it until the ash starts going grey. When it starts going grey, you add more wood to it, because obviously it burns on the top downwards when you're trying to make biochar. So that was the first attempt at a container, obviously, to start and make the biochar. And the downside that I found on that was when it was completed, to put the fire out, you had to saturate it with water. Well, in my little mind, I thought if you saturated it in water, how can you add other good stuff in it? Because it's sopping wet. Plus the fact it was a job to break it down into usable granules, if you like, while it was sopping wet. I couldn't get it through a shredder or break it down or whatever. So that was how my first attempt is. Obviously, there were several YouTube and Facebook experts that have said I've done it all wrong, but there it is. That's the way I done it, and the Australian farmer seems to make it work. So if he can, why can't I? So then I decided what I would do is make another burner that I could, like, well, I'd say suffocate it. I mean, obviously firemen would have a different word for it, but basically I started off with another 45 gallon barrel that's got a lid on it, which is the picture we've got there, right? That's the top. If you go to the next picture, Mick, it'll show you the base. The base, I drilled air holes in. Obviously you've got to have some air to get the fire started. The system is called TLUD, which means top up draft system. So you've got the bin like that. It needed also the chimney. So I cut another 45 gallon barrel up to make the top bit. And I've got an old chicken feeder that I took apart to make the chimney. The lower part of that, put other air holes in it, because as the wood burns, arguably gas comes out of the wood, so that acts as an afterburner. So that's where I was and built it and lit it, and off we go. That one says that's what I've done there. If you move on to the next picture, perhaps, Mick, please. That's the completed article, and the next picture will show it burning. So that's where it's burning. On the sides of the bottom drum, you'll see some little bracket things where obviously when you've got to put the fire out as such, everything's red hot. So I can knock the top off, put the lid on, where the two holes are in the side, where this arrow is, I've got two bits of pipe that go in there, so I can lift the barrel slightly, kick the bricks out underneath, drop it down so it sits in the tray of sand, so hopefully no air can go in the bottom. With the lid on the top, it suffocates the fire and puts it out. Therefore, I don't have to add water, so I can crush the stuff down easier to make the char. Right, that shows the lifting brackets. The next picture, if we go along, and sorry, that's the same thing. It's burning. You can see in the top part of the drum the flames in there, which is the actual gas burning out of the wood, as well as the wood burning, obviously.
Yeah.
And then the next picture is just a basic shredder that I, having jumped on it or stood on the wood and crushed it down a little bit, I put it through that shredder and fill the tray up at the bottom with the biochar, and there it is as granules like that, ready to do with whatever way I choose to use it. The next picture, in actual fact, please, Mick, yeah, right, the next picture again is playing with it. What that picture is, the char has to be what they call inoculated to put some goodness into the dry char, so it obviously is available to the plants when it's being used. So what inoculated or charged, yeah, I mean, it's whatever people call it, Steve, yeah, right. The mixture there is, or when I make the mixtures, I use 50% char, 50% from my wormery, right? And again, like you said, you can feed on it, it's just as well. But my logic then told me that the microbes need something to feed with. And one of the things people say about is feeding them molasses. Well, so what I then done is I bought a bag of sheep food or horse food, whatever way you like to call it, sugar beet nuts, mix that in there, and you soak it with water, and obviously that breaks the sugar beet nuts down. Stir it all up, and that's the mixture then. Now you can put a bag of sugar. You do your own choice. Everybody, like I say, everybody makes it their own way. And then add that when I mix compost up. I use a cement mixer at the moment. Throw it in and throw that in at 20% of the compost. I put this biochar mix in to give me growing mixes, if you like. Or the other way I use it is the previous picture where it shows you it all as granules. I spread that out about 5 litres to a square metre on a raised bed, ready for when I put either horse muck or homemade manure, homemade compost on top of it to let it winter in. So then hopefully the weather takes that down and the worms and all that take it down into the char to sort of enrich the beds. And that's basically the first part, or my first part, of how I make it and what I do with it to charge it. There is thousands of different ways of charging it by thousands of different people. Whatever you do, there'll be some people say, yeah, that's the right way. Somebody else will tell you it's the wrong way. Or I don't think it's the right or wrong. I think everybody does it their own way.
Yeah.
You know, and so far, having used it, somebody that not been into gardening at all properly has already remarked the difference in the foliage in the sweet candle show carrots. On when I use it, I've done half the bed with one and half the bed without, like, you know, and you can see the difference. So yes, it does do something, whether it's right or whether it's wrong. But now I've added it to everything. I've got a greenhouse that has nothing else but cucumbers in it, for argument's sake. One side of it is all aqua pots, and then I've got a quad grow in the end that feeds 4 or 5 pots that I grow them in, grow cucumbers in, just to see what it does for cucumbers. So where I really am at the moment is trialing it to see how it goes. You know, is it worth doing or isn't it worth doing? You know, so I hope that, you know, if people got questions of how I've done and what I've done, then obviously ask the questions. But as far as my part 1 goes, that's about it for me part 1.
How often do you make a batch, Roland?
In actual fact, I've got to make some more. When I made it, I make it, I do quite a bit of carpentry and messing about at home, and I've got 2 45-gallon barrels sit there, and all my offcuts go into the barrels, and when them 2 are full, then I'll have a burner, you know, or if I run out, like, I mean, I've used quite a lot of it in as much as I've got 2 cubic metre boxes, if you like, in the barn, and I had about 300 litres of this biochar, and between my beds and the sister-in-law's beds, I've used it, so I've got to make some more now. But I believe, providing you keep it dry, it'll last indefinitely. It's not going to run down and do any nasties on you. It's just there, ready to use as you need it. But
yeah,
as there's sort of not much to grow or not much to plant now, shall we say, I've only probably got about 40 or 50 litres of it left. So within the next month or so, I'll start doing a couple of 3 more burns and build myself up. I mean, I intend to try throughout the winter to give myself about a cubic metre of it ready to start next year.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
good amount, yeah.
Sorry?
A good amount. It makes it worthwhile, yeah.
Yeah, well, it's surprising once you start, you know, I mean, what's the sister-in-law got? She's got 4, so there's 8. It's gone in 8, well, I say raised beds. They're not very deep raised beds. It's more contained in it because I built them so that as the years go by and you add more compost and bits and pieces to it, eventually they'll fill up, won't they, you know? So that was the logic. And then she's into growing a lot of flowers. So we scattered a load underneath some manure, some farmyard manure that was. For, I don't know what we got growing in there. There's not geraniums, bloody whatever they are. Chrysanthemums. There's chrysanthemums, dahlias, marigolds, cool. Mixed one that I can never remember the name of. The tall one with the flowers.
Delphinium.
No. The other one you grow hundreds of them.
Chrysanthemums.
Alstroemeria.
Sorry?
Alstroemeria.
No, the easy one. What was it?
Gladioli.
Gladioli, yeah. So we've got a few of them, so it's underneath flowers as well. I mean, it really is like bits and pieces of a first year trial, really. Although I've used some just on carrots a year or so ago, this year it's really just trialing it. Like, you know, I've got it under courgettes, maras. I've got it like, because I'm a bit of a nut at doing things, I'm trying to grow the courgettes up stakes. So that's in the tubs that the courgettes are in, growing up stakes. I've got obviously the Bush Baby and the Blight and Bell maras, they're growing in it. Some Thai pumpkins from down the hydroponic shop they gave me, I've got them growing in it as well. So it's just really try. I've got my Stenna beans growing in it. I've had 2 sorts of shallots growing in it, you know, the Hate of the North, and I never remember what the other one is, not Ambassador or something. The one they all keep squabbling about, is it a Hate of the North or is it
Aristocrat.
Aristocrat, that's the one. And what else have I got? Show Perfection peas growing in it. That's a bit. So about 7 or 8 different types of spuds are growing in it. So I've got it more or less thrown about everywhere. That's how you use 300 litres of it.
Yeah, good man. Nigel, got a question, mate?
Roland, just a quickie. When you add the ingredients to charge it,
yes.
How long do you have to wait for that to activate, or can you use it straight away?
Well, there's a lot of talk. You should leave it at least 2 weeks for it to soak up. Yeah. That's why I went off of the idea of putting the fire out wet and changing to a dry stuff, because my logic told me if it's already full of water, how are you going to get more in it? You know, it's one of them things. You know, you can't put a quart in a pint pot, can you? So that's why I preferred it dry. But I do believe, like the picture that's left on there, because that's a very wet mix, my logic tells me it would charge it a lot faster than a dry mix. And as Steve keeps putting comments on there like that, a lot of people say pee on it, or you could make a big pack of Chem Pack number 2 or something like that and pour into it, you know, to add the nitrogen in it, because obviously it is got no nitrogen because it's burnt wood. You know, what's he say? Because you can't hear me. Sorry, that's all right. Steve Chambers keeps making comments on there. I was trying to read them at the same time.
I think his microphone's broke.
Oh well, I don't know whether he makes it himself or what. You know, I mean, I don't know how many other people make it or will go to the bother of making it. But if you look on some of the sites, like Mick said, he tried it earlier, and if you go on that Carbon Gold website, they've actually got a video on there showing you, which is quite worth looking at. But then, of course, if you look at the prices they're charging for it, I think that's why it encourages you to make your own.
Yeah.
So what ratio are you using that, Roland, when you add it to, say, a plant? You just do it as a top dress or mix it in with a planting mix?
No, how I've used it so far, as I said, when say I was preparing a bed in the spring, for argument's sake, or around about Christmas time, bearing in mind the beds had already had manure and stuff on it, I would put it on at about 5 litres to a square metre, right, of the basic chippings with nothing done, and then put 3 or 4 inches of my homemade compost or manure on top of that, and leave it for the winter. But the mixture, if I'm adding it to bag composts, I put 50% biochar, 50% worm casts to make a mix, and I then use that as 20% of the compost, or put it in at 20% of the compost, if you're with me.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's because I think it's one of them things like the worm cast, and I don't know whether Mick will support me or not, but they say you're wasting your time after 20% of worm cast adding it to compost, don't you? You know, so that's why I just picked on 20% light, you know what I mean, and went from there. So it went all the carrot mixes that I done. I started off by obviously the compost, and then done it to the same thing as what Marcus Powell uses, adding this, that, and the other chemicals to it, and different bits and pieces of fertilizer. And then, of course, I then added my 20% biochar worm cast mix to that. So I suppose effectively you're putting 10% biochar in there, aren't you, if you're putting 20% of whatever.
Yeah.
You know. So that's how I've done it. But like I say, it's early days, and undoubtedly I shall learn over a while what is best to charge or inoculate it with. And I'll probably end up this next year. I'll make some up, and I'll do some with, like you said, high nitrogen or urine or something like that, and another one with something else, and run one against the other to see what works best for me. You know, I'm not actually saying this is right and this is wrong. All I'm saying is this is how I currently do it. You know.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's trial and error, isn't it?
It is trial and error, Mick, without any shadow of doubt. You know.
I love you, Denny Road.
Yeah.
Any more questions for Rowley?
Is there? Can you use any quality of wood, Roland?
Well, the only thing I would say regarding the wood, and I don't know whether I'm right or whether I'm wrong, but I use single-use pallets so that there is no chemicals in it preserving the pallets. And I mean, Steve's put on there hardwood only. Well, obviously pallets are not hardwood, they're softwood. So I don't know whether one works better than other. Maybe that's another thing to do, is to make some biochar with hardwood and make some with the pallet wood that I do. To be honest, whilst he says use hardwood, and you go through some of the videos that different people put on YouTube over it, they make it out of corn husks and peanut shells and all other sort of nut shells and everything. So I think there's probably no right or wrong type of stuff to use in it. It's just probably what you've got, you know.
It's not using natural waste, is it?
Well, it is really. The only thing, like I say, I try to steer clear.
Charcoal, aren't you? Which
Essentially, well, it is very 99% the same stuff. Yeah. There is people, in actual fact, that buy some of the lumpwood charcoal without the igniting stuff in it, you know, to make it burn easier, and they crush that and use that as well. So I think it's again, it's doing what you can, and you know, trial and error again with most of the stuff in gardening is trial and error.
We've got a National Trust place not far from me called Attingham Park.
Yeah.
And in their woodland section, they've got a big cutout with a stone wall where they've produced masses of it.
Yeah.
Out in
biochar or charcoal?
It might be charcoal, actually.
Oh, that would be
Yeah.
odd, yeah.
I think it's pretty simple. The biochar it is supposed to be made without as much air as you can, so it's burning itself and burning the gases out of the wood, as far as I see it. But obviously, you know, that they do things, some of them, where that like that 45-gallon barrel that I have, they have another barrel that fits inside of it with some holes to get the gas out of it. So they actually like put wood around the outside and cook it, you know. And I've seen other people do the same. You know, they'll put a barrel inside a barrel and like cook it, and that, you know, whether it's any better or it's worse, you know, are you going to go that much bother? You do what you can, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting, Roland. Keep
Yeah,
us
excellent.
up to date with your next episode.
Sorry?
Keep us up to date with your next episode.
Oh, I will do. When I make up some more photographs and things about it, and I'll do the same sort of bit and fire it down the line to Mick to see how I've got on with that. And, you know, and like some of my other crazy ideas where I've made a rotary sieve out of a 45-gallon barrel, so I throw all the old compost and stuff in it. It drops out in a box in the bottom, all sieved for me.
Brilliant. Cheers, Rowley.
Like, you know, and the rubbish goes out the other end. You know. All right. Thanks for listening to me anyway.
Thank you, Roland. Thank you.
Good man. Right, somebody put this on Facebook. I thought that'll be good for the troops. See where them groaning. Chernobyl. Yes, I don't think I'd use them. Thank you very much. Right, Black-Eyed Susie. These are my 3 spares which I had planted out. As you can see, they've started throwing their shoots, telling me they need to go out. So, I'm going to put them out. If you remember last year, this is where I had them, up the old lime props. One that side and one this side. You can see these lot this side have took better than these over here. So, my spares, obviously, that's where they're going to go. So I took the old ones out, and this is on the other ones. And as soon as that, like this, he started running off there. As soon as it's a bit longer, then I'll wrap him around these wires going up, and they can carry on doing the soles like a normal runner bean. So my 3 which I had left over in the greenhouse, I've took the old ones out of there, which was crap, and I'm going to replace them with these. And he's legging it that way, only pulling them around the wires. And halfway during the week we had our first flower on, but you get that later on. Right, the sign we had for our old trading shed, which is now on the grounds of our new venue for the show, Cradley Town FC, that has got to go on the side of there. We had a meeting, Garden Club meeting down here, committee meeting, so I had to carry this down from the house because it wouldn't fit in the back of the van. Luckily there's no wind, otherwise I'd have been blown down here. But I put that in the shed until we could get Mark to give me a hand, bung it up. Right, nice sunny days. All the house plants come out again and get a good winter in. Carrots up for tea when we want them, plus the hound has one a day. Before I pull them out by finger and thumb, I give them a good winter in. Leave about 15 minutes and then pull them out one by one. Top and tail them, no need to skin them. Right, my last chilli, this is in fact Shinar's had this tonight. This is my last potting on of this one, so it will be staying in this pot. Because there's large holes in the bottom, I want to put a base on the bottom, so I'll cut that out. Put that in. This is when you're transporting the pot around, so all the crap doesn't come out the bottom. My own compost, so that pot goes in there, obviously fill him up as we've done there. When I take the pot out, a bit of Michael under his Harris like everything else, as you can see there, and then bung him in and firm him in. I'll then give it a good watering, and I mean a good watering. See this one during the week and all, love this one and all. Mother-in-law came for dinner and says, "Why do you not keep looking at me?" "Because you're using this plate." I curled up when I said that. How many of it can get away with that? Love it. Right, second speaker, Andy. Right, another new one. Andy, you ready, mate?
All right there, Nick, yeah.
Good man, all yours.
Right, you open the back door of the house and that's what you
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yeah, it's coming over loud
Yes,
and clear.
Dave, I can hear you.
I've got 3 types of honeysuckle in the garden. That's the Lonrica. That's the one that's right outside, so especially at night time, that smells lovely. Okay, Nick, next slide. Right, there's Adam Lilies there, the full length of the place for the car. I went out before and measured them. The tallest ones are just over 5 foot in height. I've got rabbits and chickens. When I clean the rabbits out, I can put that straight on the garden as it is, raw. And it feeds everything. You'll notice that there's the hedging, the box hedging that goes round. The mother-in-law bought me a box plant. And out of that one box plant, I've got over 60 metres of hedging for that one plant. Yes, all from the mother-in-law to remind me. Now, you'll notice on the roof, there's some plants growing on the roof, yeah. Next slide, Mick. Sempenvidiums, grown like they do in the Mediterranean on your roof. Don't need water. Yeah.
Brilliant.
There's enough of them there. You just put, I put a couple on and they spread. If someone wants them, I just get a rake, get behind one of the clumps and rag it off the roof. As simple as that.
Love it.
Okay, next one, Mick.
Do those flower, Andy?
No, but well, they do and they don't. But it's not so much for the flower. Every so often you'll see a stem going up. Yeah, they do flower, but you wouldn't really notice.
Because I mean, even the colours are nice, aren't they, on there?
I've had those particular ones for years. I've got another collection of Sempenvidiums, all different colours. It just happened to be they were the ones I had at first and put on the roof.
Sometimes see them called house leeks as well.
House leeks or Sempenvidiums, right? Yeah. I've got a roundabout. I mean, that's a collection of auriculas in a coal frame. The lid's been lifted off because you don't want to get them too wet in the winter. I've probably got about 120 of them. So when people come round, they generally take a plant or two. I've whittled them down to about 70 now. Yeah. Okay, next one, Mick. This is some of my Gladioli beds. Now, you notice they're at an angle and they run north to south. The fence is on the north end. So as they get even amount of sun, morning and afternoon. I did that for my sweet peas. They're all angled north to south, the beds. The Gladioli are planted about 6 inches deep with a handful of sand underneath each one and another handful of sand on the top. Sharp sand, that is. And it means that the corms and cormlets are nice and clean when they come through. You'll also notice the soaker hoses going round the beds. Yep. Now there's a piece of wood on top of the water butt, and that holds a carrot bag filled full of comfrey leaves, which acts as a fertiliser, a bit of a feed for them. And every so often, what I'll do, I'll top them up with a hose pipe and put another bag in. Take the old one out, put another bag in. So there's 3 of those water butts, and they've each one got a plank on the top with comfrey on. You'll notice on the top of mulch them, I either use spent potato compost. If I grow about 50 potatoes in bags, 17-litre bags, and after I've finished, I'll save it and put it on the beds for the Gladioli to act as a mulch. You'll also notice the rhubarb in the corner. People often neglect it. I've got loads and loads of muck. My problem is getting rid of it. Okay, next one, Nick. This is one of my daughters here. Notice the size of the Gladioli. That's from the same bed as what you saw before. Yeah, that one is, trying to think what it is. It's a Dutch seedling, and it's A645/1, and it's the giant white. It's well over 6 foot in height. It's a giant glad. I've got over 55 different varieties of glad, by the way.
Good.
Yeah, okay, next one. The auriculas were grown from seed. They're so easy. They're so easy to grow. Right, that's the row on the right is the row of sweet peas grown on the cordon system. When they get 2/3 of the way up the cane, I'll layer them all, take them down, lay them on the ground and train them up again. What there is by the side, there's Sasta daisies flowering by the side. On the left hand side, they're the Currants, they're the sprays. Okay, next slide, Mick. More sprays, and behind them, other flowers. I used to grow lots and lots of veg, but what happens is when you grow plenty of veg and you pick it and you bring it in and you chuck it in the compost, after a while, you get fed up of doing it. So we grow flowers instead now. Right, there's some of the old-fashioned sweet peas, the heritage ones. You don't train those cordon fashion, they just let them grow in the bush style. Depends when you sow the seed. I like to sow it. Well, if you Google it, there's a little there's a link that'll tell you how to grow them from seed.
Is it? I think it said on it. Yeah, I think it said about putting them on the top, something like that. But I sowed a whole packet and literally not got a single one.
How old was the seed?
It was brand new.
Right, because what I do with mine, I'll either go to a friend's house and he will let me harvest his seed, or I'll harvest my own.
Right, yeah.
And then we scatter it straight away in a seed tray.
Yeah.
Comes up, I have no problem with it.
Because it was from what they called Plants of Distinction. So it's like a reputable company that does seeds.
You get all sorts of different colours from seed.
I love auriculas, but I've just had no luck at all.
Yeah, it could be any one of a number of things. Don't give up. Sometimes you get
I was given an auricula a few years back, and I've actually managed to get. I've split it, and I managed to get a few more now. Not all of them took, but I've got 2 or 3 now, I think. But, and I'll just leave them outside, and they're beautiful. But
save the seed from them.
Right. Okay.
And you'll get a wide selection.
Yeah.
If you want to save the plant, they get offshoots from the base, and you can pull them off.
Right. Okay. And can you leave it outside over the winter as well?
I leave mine outside. The reason why they're in the frame is to keep the wet off them in the winter. They don't like being wet.
Oh, right. Okay. Because I water them just as normal with all the other plants. Well, they seem all right.
Yeah, but they'll they'll quite often get mildew if they're left out.
Right.
If they get too
Yeah.
wet.
Okay.
All right.
Right then. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, Susan. That's as I say, that's the old-fashioned sweet peas. I grow them as well. The beds were all arranged north to south, just for the growing of sweet peas. Yeah, they're a lovely scent on those. Not so much on the modern Spencer varieties. The first time I showed sweet peas, I got 3 firsts and a second at national level on best vars in my division. That was in the late national show at Shrubber Hall. Right, next slide, Mick. Right, that's Magnolia. We bought that when my daughter was born. Someone gave us some money to buy a plant to celebrate my daughter's birth, and we kept it in a pot for a while. And my wife lost a baby shortly after, and Fred is buried underneath that magnolia. The hospital said you can either flush it, bury it, bring it in, we'll cremate it. So we put it under there, and that's what it's about. It's a Solangela, however you pronounce that. That was bought from Bodnant Gardens when my daughter was born. Yeah. Next one, Mick. That's a couple of my camellias there. They're about 10 foot high. You'll notice the bird feeders in front. There's 2 varieties there. I don't know what the red one is. This is the common one, the donation. You'll notice in the background, I've got, what is it? It's the bamboo. I've got a whole hedge of them, all in big pots. No chance of them running amok anywhere. Okay, next one, Mick. That's a Clematis montana Elizabeth alba. It's grown over a pergola. My wife likes white flowers. If she likes things in the garden, I'm happy because she's happy. So I keep her happy. I mean, that flower's lovely. Behind, in amongst that lot, there's actually a rose climbing iceberg. Okay, Mick, next one. Right. That's inside of the greenhouse, some of the hanging baskets. There's fuchsias, begonias, there's all sorts in there. There's pots as well underneath the hanging baskets. On the left-hand side, there's 40 foot of soil warming cable. So I can divide her up into 2 lots, both with their own thermostat, so I can alter the temperature or even turn one off to harden them off. I've got glass that will go over the top to enclose it. Okay, next one, Nick. Right, okay, that hasn't come up too well. That's my other greenhouse with a few tomatoes. The other one, the other greenhouse, when the hanging baskets and the tubs come out, that's when my tomatoes are planted in. And you'll notice there's shallots in the tubs drying. They're the French ones, the hearty ones, you know. Right, okay, next one. It's 2 hanging baskets, it's of begonias, and 1 hanging basket of fuchsias. In time, you won't see the liner. It's just bin liner. Just an ordinary bin liner with a few holes in. Okay, next one. Right, that's swing time. Trailing fuchsia. You can't see the liner, so I'm happy. Each one of the baskets has got its own watering device, and I've got a feeder online to make it easier. Okay, next one, Mick. Right, there's 2 baskets of La Campanella fuchsia. I love that one. It's a lovely single fuchsia. It always grows. I think it grows well for me, but still got a lot more growing to do. And the basket on the right, sorry, on the left, higher up, is sweet peas. Trailing sweet peas, miniature ones. You can get them, the Snoopy ones. You will see them. That's it. Yeah. Sweet peas in a hanging basket. Right. You'll notice there's bottom left. That's an olive tree. I've got a couple of them. The lollipops. You notice the olives on them. And the canes that you see at the side I've got tomatoes growing up, they're the outdoor tomatoes growing up each one of the canes. And there's a peach tree against the wall, fan trained. Rochford is the name of the peach. Okay, next one, Mick. Right. That's there's 2 Clematis there. The purple one is the President. That's about 18 centimetres across. Not a bad size. And it's the single cupped flowers. Yeah. It's the early ones. And the white one, I believe, is Snow Queen. Okay, next one, Mick. That's one of the rhododendrons there. That's more like the wild form, but it just flowers profusely every year. And the bees love it, of course. Okay, next one, Mick. Right. What you've got wallflowers spilling over onto the path. There's hostas in the pot. There's water chimes, so when it starts to rain. That's in the middle at the back, that's the peach tree. And there's all sorts of stuff there. Right, okay, next one. Right, a similar shot from a bit later on. I grow Canna Lilies. I grew 16 of them this year, all in pots. I love them. You'll notice the flowers, the petunias tumbling out over the pots. You can't see the pots, but basically for the petunias and the trailing lobelia. The cannas, as I say, I love them for their foliage, tropical looking foliage. And of course they have the flowers as well, which I prefer the foliage. Okay, next one, Mick.
Andy,
yeah.
Was all that area grown in pots on the
yeah, all that's in pots.
All that in
all that's in pots. Yeah. Now you'll notice at the far right there's a couple of pots there, but that's how I grow my sweet pea seed. I put ordinary garden soil in. That's it, Mick. Ordinary garden soil. Fill the pots up. So it's undernourished soil. There's 6 canes held together with a wire loop at the top. And I train the plants up, not the cordon system. I let them grow wild, and I don't pick a single one. I want them to think that they're going to die. So as they set seed, and they set true to seed. In the fridge, you've probably got 15 different types of sweet pea seed, which I store in the fridge. You can store them for years. Yeah. Okay, next one, Mick.
If you got an understanding missus or an extra fridge, Andy?
Sorry?
If you got an understanding missus or an extra fridge?
Well, I've taken over quite a bit of the fridge actually, because I've got various containers holding gladioli cormlets, which you can keep for years. Just holds them back, and you can use them 2 or 3 years, later.
Yeah.
Sweet pea seed will keep for years. I've got several sealed containers, all with the moisture stuff inside. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Okay, next one. Right, that one is corkscrew hazel, Coryllis Valana contortica. Just a corkscrew hazel, it's twisted hazel. And we've got loads of catkins. Yes, we do get nuts on them, but the squirrels come and nick me nuts. I'm not bothered about that. That's why I'm banished to my conservatory. Yeah. On the right of that, I've got a yucca plant. You'll see that later on. Okay, next one, Mick. That's the yucca. It's in flower now. There's 3 spikes at the top, and it's at the height of 14 foot with the flower spikes. It's 10 foot without the flower spikes. Like I say, we've got various, loads of muck, and my problem is getting rid of it. So as soon as a bit of space comes available, it just goes in the garden, from the old compost. I don't know what that's called. It's just a yucca. I don't know which one. Spanish, it's needle sharp they are.
Yeah,
you keep the kids away from there. You're on tender hooks if they're around. Okay, Mick, next one. Solomon's seal. Oh, you'll notice on the last one, there was a plant on the right-hand side. That's a field maple. My lad is 23 years old now. When he went to preschool, nursery, he brought back home a seed in a margarine tub, and that's it. It's as tall as a house now. And that's his plant. Okay, next one, Mick. Solomon's seal, yeah. Another white plant. They always get ravaged with sawfly. The birds don't seem to like them. They don't take. I've got loads of birds in the garden. I was going to show you at first, Mick, some of the birds that come in the garden. It's unbelievable the numbers they get. Woodpeckers. I was sitting outside, not 10 foot away from the bird feeders, and I had 4 woodpeckers in the garden.
Where are you based, Andy?
I'm in Chester, Cheshire.
Okay, cheers.
Yeah, you'll notice that with the Solomon seal, it's grown with irises at the back. You'll even see Mick's favourite in there. Yeah. Right, okay, next one, Mick. That's some of the wisteria. That grows over that area now. I've had to cut all that back and remove the peach tree, because that area now is a conservatory for my orchids. 3 and a bit meters wide by 4 meters long, with a fogger in, and there's all sorts. That wisteria is probably 100 foot from where the main plant is. Okay, next one. Right, last week, 2 weeks ago, Mick said he wished he had a close-up of that Oriental Poppy. Well, there's one, an Oriental Poppy, a bit of a close-up of it. Next one. Another Oriental Poppy, but it's got a tree bee just hovering above it. You'll note it's got a white rear end. Now, some facts about the tree bee. The Bombus Hinocorm, first found in the UK in 2001 in Wiltshire. In 2013, they'd reached southern Scotland. In 2017, they were first found in Ireland. They moved throughout the British Isles since 2001. That one was nesting. They had a nest in next door's vent for the toilet from the sewerage, right in the top of that. You'll notice the large pollen sacs on the back of that bee and the white rear end. The white rear end it's the tree bee. Okay, next one.
You got a question, Paul?
Yeah, I just wondered about the white rear end because I saw one the other day.
That's a tree bee.
Why is it white, the rear end?
Well, there's various. It's just the breed. Yeah. Just the variety. Came over from France in 2001.
We had one in Colligate yesterday.
They got them all over the country now, and they'll quite often nest in bird boxes. Kick the birds out and go in.
Great, thank you.
Okay, next one. Right, that's a rose. Zephyrin Dauphine, grown from a cutting. That's grown by one of my greenhouses. They have up to 4 young. That the bee. They grow in a colony. Yeah, and that's the climbing rose. With climbing roses, they're quite vigorous. I have no problem taking cuttings from them. Okay, next one.
Andy.
Yeah.
On another night, could you just give us a few minutes on taking rose cuttings? Because it's something I just can't be successful with.
The end of this month, next month, within the next 6 weeks is the ideal time to do it.
What, July and August?
Yeah, before the end of August if you can. And if you do it round about 9 inches to a foot in length, and a good thickness of a pencil, this year's growth, make a slit with a spade, drop some coarse, some sharp sand in the bottom of the hole, the spade depth, drop the cuttings in with the top inch or 2 sticking out, and just heel them in. Leave them over winter, and around about Easter time, you might see a bit of growth on them.
You leave the leaves on?
Yeah, no. Yeah, what you do, you'll pull the leaves off. I pull the thorns off as well. Stick them in the ground, make a slot, make a groove.
So you
just straight down, waggle it back in 2.
You just got a pencil.
Just a pencil thickness. Yeah. Maybe a little bit thicker, but much more thicker. Sand at the bottom of the hole for drainage. Put them in about 2-3 inches apart. Heel them in nice and tight. Leave them there. With where the leaves were, you'll get the buds coming up. Right? And probably next Easter time, sometime round there, you might see growth on them.
I'll try again.
Yeah? Okay.
Chances. Thanks.
That's climbing iceberg, another climbing rose. The tree you can see at the back is the Magnolia. That's about 20 foot high. That's it. There's the 2 greenhouses in the background. You see the lupins. You can make out the Oriental Poppies and mixed favourites in the foreground. The Alstromelias. The blue on the corner, we'll get around to that. Okay, next one. Notice the pots at the side. Notice the pots at the bottom on the path. Always pots, you've got no room. Right. I live in Chester, which is only about 4 miles away from a nursery that grows roses. C&K Jones. And that is a rose, I believe was bred by them. It's called Golden Showers. I bought it from them, and that grows at the base of the Magnolia tree, around the bottom of that. The Magnolia is about 20 foot high, as I say. Okay, next one. That's a few of the lupins, and you can just make out in the foreground one of the poppies. I had probably 20 to 30 flower heads, all 6 inches across or so, of the poppies. And you can still make out there's a late flower on the Magnolia. Now, my daughter was born April the 20th. And for the first few years, the Magnolia flowered round about her birthday. And now, depending upon the season, it can be either early or late. But we have done, for the last 25 years, taken photographs of my daughter standing or being held underneath the Magnolia tree for the last, getting on for a quarter of a century, because that's her tree. Okay, next one, Mick. Right, it's another one of the lupins, but a bumblebee, and you haven't got a clue what sort it is, but you'll notice the pollen sacs and his back legs bulging. I like my lupins. I used to live on a farm, and we had old-fashioned flowers, lupins, and I believe they're coming back into fashion. Okay, Mick, another one, another photo. That's your favourite, Mick.
Oh, love them.
Right. With those, they Ultramelias, yeah, Peruvian Lily. What I did, I bought a collection called the Planet series. I think it was from, well, it was one of these, Thompson and Morgan, I think it was. And I got 12 plants, probably 2 of each, 6 different plants. That's just one variety there. The Planet series, because they're named after the planets. I've got a lovely deep red one. They grow like weeds for me. They take over. The thugs. They'll suffocate all the other plants. Yep. Okay, next one, Mick. That's a selection of my irises. That's some of my irises there. You'll notice in the background, there's the box hedge again. As I say, I've got over 60 metres of that, all from one plant. Okay, next one, Mick. Right, that is catmint. It's the bees, butterflies, go mad for it. There's some of the Oriental Poppies, the lupins in the background. On the top left, you'll see the Arum Lilies. There's about 18-foot bed of them, and it's just thick with them. You'll notice that there's a box hedge in the middle, which is a wheel. And there's 6 divisions in there. There's probably 15 foot across, 15-foot circle. With in the middle of that, there's the bay tree, grown as a lollipop. Right. In each one of those bays, there's 6 bays. I grow. What is it? Blighton Golden Girl. It's a mini decorative. That one's yellow. Canora Sunset. It's a medium semi-cactus. And it's bright red with yellow. It's a yellow and red bicolour. Rycroft Brenda, a small deck, that's white with a hint of lavender. I've got Trooper Dan, that's a large semi-cactus, probably 9-10 inches across. That's Trooper Dan, that's the yellow one. I have Western Spanish dancer. That's a mini semi-cactus, and that's a yellow and red, and it's a bicolour as well. I like that. Now that's 5 varieties there, but I'll generally put another one in as well. But I don't take them out. There's 3 plants in each section. They fill that. At the moment, they're about not far off, just underneath the top of the bay tree. You know, the lower bit of it. Okay, next one. Right, that's my oldest granddaughter holding one of my chickens. It's a coaching chicken. I'm been a member of the coaching club for probably a quarter of a century. That's the breed of chicken. That photograph was posted on the National Coaching Club webpage, and I get comments from Australia, Germany and Holland remarking about the chicken's feathering on the feet. Not about my granddaughter, but if you see the furnishings on the feet, they're exceptional. Okay, next photo, Mick. That's what they grow into.
Good, Bennett.
That one came second at national level at the National Coaching Club show, 2 years running. So I gave him away. He wasn't good enough. Someone else had him. That's my fruit cage behind me. There's blueberries. There's all sorts in there. Okay, next one. Notice the box edge as well. Right, that's one of my Angora rabbits. I mentioned 2 weeks ago, whatever it was, that I do spinning. And the rabbits are bred for the wool. They're show rabbits as well, the English Angoras. The English Angoras got tufts on their ears. I'm a member of the National Angora Club. I've kept rabbits for years and years. When I lived on the farm, I bred them commercially, not these, and I could shift a ton of rabbit food a month. I had hundreds of them. I haven't got anything like that here. Okay, next one. This is the last photo, and that was taken from my bedroom window, looking out at the bottom of the garden, if you like. And there's a fox, a vixen with the cubs. Now I keep chickens. I love to see the wildlife. I love it. And I don't mind. I got the gun out. I was going to shoot a fox when it came round, took the chickens. When I saw the babies, I put the gun away. I wasn't going to shoot the fox. They're all entitled to eat. But I show my chickens, and I've probably got between 30 and 50 chickens, like that other one that you saw me holding. And each one of those chickens, Mick, can eat about 12 ounces of food a day. Yeah, so that's my talk.
Brilliant.
I love my garden. When Mick asked me could I do a talk at first, I was going to show the birds that come into the garden. You know, I get all the common birds. We'll get buzzards in the garden. I had a picture of a heron perched on the hawthorn tree, which has got a rose growing up it, Rambling Rector, of Rambling Rose. It's called Rambling Rector, and that's round about 30 foot or more in height. The hawthorn is, and the Rambling Rector swamps it. But growing up there as well, I've got Russian vine. That's your mile a minute, and it's a wonder the hawthorn hasn't collapsed under the weight. So tip for you: don't grow Russian vine unless you can control it. It'll bring your tree down.
What size plot have you got?
Well, the chicken run's 100 foot.
That's just what I was going to
Sorry,
ask.
not
you.
100 foot,
Oh, right.
1,000 square foot.
Sorry?
The chicken run's 1,000 square foot.
1,000 square foot. That's just the chickens.
That's just the chicken run.
So how long is your garden? Is it? It must be
The
massive.
fence at the bottom's 100 foot long, wide.
Bloody Nora.
So it's 100 foot away and it's 100 foot wide.
It's 100 foot wide, yeah.
Bloody
So the
hell.
chicken run,
Do you live in Buckingham Palace?
no, the chicken run runs the full length of the garden, but it's 10 to 12 foot wide.
Mm. Yeah.
But in that chicken run, I've got apples, pears, plums, damson, gauges, all sorts. That's where my compost heap is. You can imagine how much muck I get from 30 chickens and all. I had, this time last year, I had 18 rabbits.
How often do you have to clean them out?
Well, the rabbits are on wire. I clean them out every so often. When it muck starts to build up, this time of the year, you got to clean them out more often because what you get, the flies come in and they'll be attracted. So if you're not careful, because they've got long fur on the rabbits, the fur grows at the rate of 1 inch a month. Every month it grows 1 inch. So you have to groom them, which is brilliant for the granddaughters. They love it. They love being here. Now, when my kids were little, I've got 4 daughters and a son. Each one of them has had chicks and ducks and hatch in the hands. And it now's the same thing's happening with their children. I've got 3 granddaughters at the moment and another granddaughter due December. And I look after the grandchildren, they come here. They were here today while I looked after them while I bought them a meal out in a restaurant. And it gave the mum and dad a bit of peace and quiet so they could go out without being disturbed. So the kids had, it's a win-win situation. I see the grandchildren, I influence them, they know who I am. I'm Grumps because I'm a grumpy old man. So they call me Grumps. And my wife is half Scottish and she's called, her name's Moira. And in Scottish, Granny is Moira. It's Maury, which is Granny in Scottish. So my wife's is called Maury to all the grandchildren, and I'm known as Grumps. So when we're out somewhere, they'll shout out, "Grumps, Grumps!" And everyone looks around and they look at me and I just, shoulders are broad enough, I love it.
And they got the quickens, that the big bird you got in your arms, which you got rid of, what size eggs do them birds lay? They're like duck eggs or something?
They're not very big. For the size of the bird, that one probably weighs 14, 15 pounds.
You must get a lot of eggs.
I get a few, not from the cockerels, but I get a few. I've got
Well,
about
not from the
30.
cockles, obviously.
I give the eggs away.
Yeah.
How many do you get a day, roughly?
Oh, they're not known for their egg laying abilities. I actually keep a smaller breed.
Do you keep them for showing, mainly?
No, I don't sell them. I keep a smaller breed for the eggs, the Bantam Welsumers.
Oh, Bantams are lovely.
Yeah, but these,
I like
the
eggs are lovely.
They're all showbirds. They give you an idea of how far into it I am. The father of these can be traced back to Germany. He was brought over, and I had him brought over from Germany specially to introduce fresh blood into the Welsumer line. They lay a lovely brown egg. See the fox cubs and the back of more like the back, the top of the back leg of the vixen, how dark that is. That's the colour of the eggs that they lay. They're really brown. You're addicted to eggs, as in you like them or you don't like them.
Oh, I like eggs as well.
No,
I love
that's
eggs.
Steve. I mean, I go every year. I didn't go last year to I go to the different poultry shows. He had eight today. Well, there's competitions nationally for decorating eggs. And I've been photographing for the last quarter of a century or thereabouts, lots of eggs at national competition being photographed. You know, you wouldn't believe some of the things they get up to photographing eggs. The works of art. It's a different world altogether. Now, the last 18 months, I've missed going round to the poultry shows. You meet the same people, just different shows all over the country. I'm known nationally for my coachings. People, they'll phone me up. I give them away. I don't sell them half the time. You pass them on. It's all about the bloodline. If I was selfish and just to breed, yes, I win at national level with them, but if I was just to keep all those birds here, from one fox attack, they can wipe out your bloodline. So what you do is you distribute your bloodstock at different locations all around the country. If there's bird flu, which comes every year, round about November, December, and the poultry shows are cancelled, and they have to wipe out. I mean, I'm registered with the government for keeping my birds, so I know before most people know, because they notify me straight away when there's an outbreak, where it is. Basically, they can come round and drop a bomb on my birds. They can wipe them out. They have a 3-kilometre zone and a 10-kilometre zone from where the site is. And this year I fell in the 10-kilometre zone. I was just out of the 3. If I was in that zone, all my birds would be put down unless I can specify that they're a rare breed and endangered. Forget about the years of work on the bloodline. That doesn't come into it.
What's a typical lifespan of those birds, Andy?
Well, they can be 10 years old.
Mm.
What I tend to do, I hatch new ones every year. So the idea of it is that the breed is a coaching. They're a large fowl that can coach in China. Now, they take 18 months to mature. A big bird like that, 12 months of age, is not going to be about half the size, half the weight of the 18-month-old bird. It's got a lot of filling out to do. Yeah, the birds that you mentioned there, they breed them commercially for meat. They don't see after 42 days because they're not profitable. They're at the table waiting in 42 days. That's all. They're very slow at maturing. They take 12 months to mature for a show. So I hatch them early on in the year, which is a challenge because they only lay about 120 eggs a year each. And so in nature, what they do, they lay a clutch of eggs, probably 12, then go broody and sit on them.
Do you have incubators, Andy?
Sorry?
Do you have incubators?
Yeah, I've got 3. They're in the kitchen. The wife goes mad with me. And earlier on,
you need to build a separate kitchen just for you, with a great big fridge.
What I do with the chicks when they hatch, I mean, all the grandkids have seen them hatching. I put them from there into the downstairs shower room. They're in a box with a heat lamp over the top. A couple of days ago, 3 days ago, I put 15 out into the chicken shed because they're getting a bit big, you see. So it's fascinating. But you've got to keep Mr. Fox off them because he wants to eat them all. So people turn around and say, you can't go shooting the fox. Well, I don't like shooting the fox, so I keep my chickens in a fox secure pen. They can climb an 8-foot fence, the foxes can. And they'll always pick out the best birds. I had, on a Friday lunchtime, when I was working, a fox attack. It killed 18 of my birds. Killed them all, broke their necks, and just left them round the garden. Tried to hide them. It wiped out my bloodline. And I had to go travelling all over the country. As soon as I mentioned it, to one of the other, as soon as I mentioned it on the coaching club, within that week, that following weekend, I'd gone off to Yorkshire and I'd got the same bloodline, another cockerel, so I could get going again. It killed a national champion. These things happen, but you can't blame the fox. The dog was in the house going mad, and the wife was watching Neighbours or something on the television. Dog was going ballistic, but the Neighbours was on, and so you have to make do.
Andy, another question, changing the subject, back to them marvellous flowers you got. You had 2 large hanging baskets with trailing fuchsias. Do you overwinter them, or are they cuttings, multiple cuttings?
Those particular ones were overwintered, but what you're looking at is you really want to take cuttings next month to overwinter, so you get a good start.
Right.
For fuchsias. Gives them a good start. They'll dry back, but it's all about enjoying yourself. Yeah, you should have seen I had over 80 orchids on the dog crate, which is in the lounge, and also in the kitchen. Over 80 orchids, mate.
If I took over that space, I'd never hear the end of it. Unbelievable.
Well,
because I'm a grower in this house, he's not interested in it at all, my husband.
That thing you can see behind me, we finished that in December. My conservatory, and there's 4 water butts in there, each one linked up, and there's 4 separate filters to filter that water. I know it's rainwater, but before it goes into any of the containers, there's 4 separate inline filters. That then comes from there by gravity, feeding a fogger, which is for the orchids, which will keep that room at a set humidity. At the moment, I'm saving up to buy a sprinkler system because there's orchids growing on that wire mesh, and every day I spray them with water, rainwater. And each one of the water butts has got an air stone in. So there's 4 air stones, and that's working on 35 litres an hour. I've also put in, since that picture was taken, 2 hydroponic units. So they're basically 8 foot long for the 2 of them, by about 30 inches wide. There's a framework 8 foot high and 8 foot long, and I've put up another nutrient film technique system of downspout, square downspout, with 80 stations in. And I've just started filling those up now. I've got tomatoes, I've got chilies, aubergines. There's 12 tomatoes in 9-inch pots, waiting for my daughter to take. but she's got COVID at the moment. Her husband's got COVID. She's a school teacher. She was showing no symptoms. She did a lateral flow test. She came negative, but she had to do the other test because her husband had COVID and she was positive. So even if you've been double jabbed and you show no symptoms, you can still have COVID and you can still pass it. 5 weeks ago, my lad got it and we were all quarantined in here. He was flat out for four days on his back. He's 23. He's asthmatic. And when he was a child, he was in hospital with his asthma and he was in hospital with pneumonia. So he's classed as vulnerable. I don't suffer from that.
Andy, if you ever get the chance...
Sorry, go on, Nigel.
I say, if you ever get the chance, many years ago, I was in Jersey and went to a place called Eric Young Foundation.
Yeah.
That's got a tremendous collection of orchids.
Yeah. I mean, every month I'm on with the Pathlopedium Society. The last meeting we had 2 members from America. We had another fella from Italy, another one from Australia, and there was I think the speaker he was from South America, Peru, I think. That was the speaker that was on the Pathlopedium Society. I used to work, but I'm a pensioner. I'm 72 now. But when I retired, how did I have
you work
time
in your
to
garden
work?
in the greenhouse.
Well, yeah, but I did more when I was working because I can't do it all now. I'm slowing down. I worked in leisure for getting on for 40 years. For a 70th birthday party, I had a trampoline party. I'm an ex-trampoline coach, used to compete at national level. And I took all of my 5 children to a trampoline party and I was doing front and back somersaults with multiple twists. What I used to do on my birthday or as near to it was get on the trampoline and do as many different types of double somersaults as I could. And when I said I couldn't do it, I'll pack it in. I did it for about 40 years. But I done 27 different countries by push bike. All around Eastern Europe, Australia. I followed the route of the Tour de France. I met up with them in Jaca in Spain one year. Followed them through to Switzerland, all on my bike. My wife's glad to get rid of me for a while. Yeah, anyway, it's enough for me.
Paul, you got your hand up, Paul? Or... No. Anybody else got a question?
One quick question. The auriculas, how do I collect the seeds? Do I put like a paper bag around it?
Collect the seed? All what I do, I go out with a pair of scissors, snip the right seed head off, and put it upside down in a little envelope or a brown paper bag. Simple as that.
Do I have to keep it like cold or
no?
Following year?
I'll sow them straight away.
Oh, sow them straight away. Okay.
Best results straight away. They're fresh.
Okay.
You'll see the seed heads at the top of the plant where the flower was, and if you leave it too late, they'll fall out.
Yeah.
You can see them more, right? I mean, I had 120 odd plus. You know, I was giving them away.
Yeah. All right. I'll have a look for that then.
Grow them into little things. Put them into the square planters.
Yeah.
You know, the little square things, so they take up less space.
Yeah.
Then move them on into 3.5-inch pots, and then finally in 5-inch pots.
Right.
But I got I've got lots of hobbies, lots of interests. Photography is one of them.
Any more questions for Andy? No. Andy, brilliant, mate. Covered quite a bit there.
Right, cheers, Mick.
Thank you very much, Andy.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Cheers, Andy. Right, this is Rushan during the week helping me out. Right. Right, this weather, because I've top dressed these lot exactly the same as everything else on my raised beds and whatever, they're not drying out so quick as they would do if they weren't top dressed, obviously. But this weather just lately, I am watering these twice a week. Right, this is midday, meaning you can still see the shadow. So they are still in shade. These are my shallots, or see all the tops dried off. The onions are drying off now. Climbing spinach, he's gone haywire. He's gone to the top, he's now going across the tunnel on the back. Lupins that are finished, and the couple of delphiniums. I did this last year. You can see the lupin there, and just make out a leaf. Cut them off straight at soil base, and the delphiniums once they have finished flowering. Give them a good, I use Maxi-Crop, give them a good feed, and that brings it back into life again, and you get a second flowering. And I got away with it last year, so I'm going to do exactly the same again this year. Meaning that one there has had it. He's still doing well. That one got splattered by the rain, but this one needs to come out. So I'm going to take him out. And you can see the Nigel, yes mate?
Mick, I've got a massive delphinium in our garden, what the rain's jobbed, bossed it. When's the best time to move it? Because I think it's in the wrong place.
You want to move it?
Yes.
End of the season when they're dormant.
So like September-ish, October?
Yeah.
Right. Okay, cheers.
Like if you got any more growing, when they all die off, you know then. But this one here, you see I've chopped him straight down. I've left about 2 or 3 inches stems in, so I know he is there. But I've given him a good feed, i.e. Maxi-Crop. That one I'm just taking the rubbish out. Right, me wheel. I lost my bloody wheel. I did have him on here. I bloody lost him. Crap.
Just
2 jobs next week. Right, this is our trading shed which we moved up to our new venue for the show. What we've done since, I've levelled this out for us in front because we're going to transport that lot for the show over to here where the marquee will be. And there's level this out, and this is Astra pitch, what used to be. So obviously they've used that to make a pathway, like if it rains or whatever, and it's nice and level, which is good for them. Mark come in, give me a hand to get the sign up, and we put a strap it in down on properly. Good lad. So much else out the road. Right, somebody asked me during the week, fill up north to send him some Armilitox. We've got a few bottles left, which is noticed in our trading sheds. This has been finished a few years now, so he asked me to send him some up north, meaning I needed a solid container. I've got to do some more liquid fish, and this is what they come in, which is a nice solid container. I mean, I've got to empty him out, so I need him to send the Armilitox by post. Because that's nice and thick inside there, to soften that up, I'll put it in a jug of hot water, give him a shake up. I can then distribute him. It's still thick, but I've got to empty that out. Then these are measured out in 1/2 litres, so I've just got a litre in. which works out perfect. Sent that for him. Colin, there's one of your boxes, prime boxes. Good man, you're good for loads of things. Right, this is me pathway in between the trellis, top of the garden, and my greenhouse. Right at the end of it, ideal spot for my compost bin. Mark from work, he's a good lad. He borrowed me a couple of slabs. Meaning that's going straight on the slabs. That's why I took the wire off the bottom. Don't need it. Don't need the chicken wire. Nice and flush. Starting off with a bit of wood chip. Level it out. Then I put my straw and rabbit muck. That's my base for my compost. Give that a good soaking. And wait till I've got a good brew. Rosie, if it sees me up the top of the tunnel, comes in for a carrot. Keep her quiet. Right, these lots need trimming now. They're shallots, large and small. Right, 8-ounce onions. These are from all the same seed. As you can see, you can get different shapes. There's different classes for different shows. So read the schedule. Some shows ask for 3 onions, some ask for 5, some ask for 2. It's all according what the thing is. So that one is a globe onion, as you can see, and then it is a flat one. So he's no good for pairing these or getting 3. So for globe, there'll be that one, and that one, picking them out. But one complete skin, these are tops and tails. Once these tops are dried off, as these lot are here, and they'll be put out the sun. So that's all the 8-ounce onions up. This is my last onion from last year. So, which is good timing because I'm just using now any onions that are no good for showing. Obviously, I'm going to eat them as well. Especially this weather, just lately, which we're going to have it all again next week. I think it's up till Friday or something. I water. This is when the sun is out, but it keeps off the plants. I water the straw and the floor itself and the sides of this, just to help the humidity. Right, shallots, if they're too large like this, there's bulbous, or what we call it is preggers. It's pregnant, so it's no good exhibition wise. I should have got them up slightly before, say a week before or something, so they was this size. But these rubbed off, the outside skins rub off quite easily. As we can see there, down to one skin. And just bung them back down here to dry off even more. The ones that are naff, the shallots, I cooked them, and we had these last Saturday with the fajitas. Love them. Third speaker tonight, Keith Hyde, with his update so far. You ready, Keith?
Yes, mate. Can you hear me?
Yep, good man, all yours.
Okay. That's the sweet corn, some of the first sweet corn coming through. These were all taken a couple of weeks ago. So we're looking at 2, 3, some of them got 4 cobs on, but they've really grown well this year. So very pleased with those. That's a bigger sign. They're a lot taller now. I was down there this morning and they definitely put some growth on in this warm weather, but the straw mulch has really helped conserve the moisture. So looking forward to getting some cobs off those soon. Okay, mate. Long carrots, they've picked up and they're growing well, so a lot of good growth, so hopefully we get something decent out of there this year, but you never know. And I'll say they're the parsnips that I'm growing in the tubes. I've had to lift the roof up, the mesh, because it used to be a fruit cage, so I've lifted the mesh and the protective cover over the top, moved it up another 9 inches, but they're touching that now, so I might have to cut that and make a bit more space, but they really are looking quite good. But it's not what they look outside, it's what's down below that counts, so fingers crossed. Yeah. They're the eating parsnips, just a bed, made a core with a rod, composting, sowed those, and they're all looking very healthy. So a terrible year last year with parsnips, couldn't get anything to germinate, but this year really good, really pleased with those. So hopefully that's just a mixed bed. So at the front there's some Swiss chard, pink Swiss chard. Then in the middle that's the scrap ends of some spinach, so they're coming out now. And then there's beetroot, and behind that is some yellow Swiss chard. I use the leaves of the Swiss chard as a spinach. I cut the stems, steam the stems, and the spinach I just cut the centre core out and steam that and just use that like spinach. So it's really, I quite like it as a vegetable. It's really quite nice. Celery, that's put some growth on in the last 2 weeks since that was taken. Really sort of about another 8 inches higher than that, I would say. Some bigger collar, 18-inch collars on now. Some peas on the right hand side. They're just some the Victorian Knee Plus Ultra pea, which I've picked a lot, so they'll be coming out soon. But yeah, celery's looking quite good, so fingers crossed for those. That's the perforated cellophane that I use, and that was put on 3 weeks ago when I sowed at the far end. I sowed some more beetroot, some carrot, some turnips, and this end you can just see through the shading there's some brassica under there. But now I've got bigger hoops all the way along, and I've still got that on as a protection from sort of the sun. It's got a green tinge, but it's not too bad underneath. It keeps the moisture in. So, but that will be coming off shortly. But that certainly does improve germination of seeds, I've found. So I will be using that again a lot more next year. Oh, that's my.
Okay,
yeah.
Sorry, can't find the hand to put my hand up. That screen, is that what you showed us before, the one with the holes in?
Yes, it was.
So I looked that up. You gave us the name of it. I looked it up and I couldn't find it anywhere.
Yeah.
The only places I found it, they'd stopped doing it.
Oh right, I'll have a look and see if I can find anything. I'll let you know next week.
Can, yeah, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, that's a giant cabbage I'm growing. He's now touching side to side of that frame. It's an Enviromesh cage, and he's in there, and I dug a pit about 3 foot square and deep and filled it with old dahlia tops, manure and anything else, and piled it up about 18 inches above ground level, put the topsoil back, and that sunk right down, and then he was planted in it. He's romping away at the moment. I just need him to head up to get a bit of weight on him, but he is pretty huge at the moment, but he's got no weight inside him. He's just started heading up, so you never know, he might be all right. They're just some pointy cabbage that on the plot that we're cropping and eating. They've been good. I just plant those out and just you can see the Enviromesh there. So I just put hoops, put the Enviromesh over, put the posts in just to hold it down to keep the try and keep the butterflies and that out. But they've grown well. That's the Parthenon Calibres. They've all gone now. All the heads have gone, and I'm just waiting for some secondary growth. And the onions in the distance, 250-gram onions, Vento, they're all lifted now and they're drying. But the Calibre's been absolutely wonderful. But problem with those is you plant 6, you get 6 within a few days of each other. But they are really quite nice. That's one of my pot leeks. Nothing special, but giving them a try. But they're not too bad. But it's just too warm for me down here. Pumpkin creeping along the fence. They seem to be. I've got 4 pumpkins on one sort of half a plot at the back of the site, and they are absolutely romping away. And I did notice that there's a couple of small pumpkins have set now. So I got one about £250 last year. So if I can beat that, I'll be happy. And then I managed to get them home and put them in the front driveway for people to have a look at. They're the Currants under the structure. They're really growing away and looking quite nice. I'm pleased with those. I've thinned out all the shoots, and the buds are beginning to set the buds now, select those. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we will get some blooms. The ones in the pots are late, so they'll be moved out. So as the ones in the ground, the mid-season ones will be able to bloom, and the ones in pots will eventually go into the polytunnel. But at the moment, they're just happy ticking away over there. Tomatoes, what's that? Oh yeah, that's Zenith. I understand you can't get Zenith now, it's gone off the market, but I managed to get a packet from Medwin at the beginning of the year with Zenith, but there's a lot of fruit. There's a lot of fruit on all the tomatoes, so be pleased when they start ripening.
Can you not take a cutting and overwinter it?
You could take cuttings and overwinter, and take cuttings and overwinter. I do know people who've done that, so it might be worthwhile trying, taking some side shoots out and overwintering those. Something worth thinking.
You tend to fruit a lot quicker that way.
Yeah, we could try that. That's if you save the seeds, they're not always going to run true to variety, Steve. That's a Pero, and that is that's throwing a lot of trusses now, a lot of fruit on that, and they are beginning to ripen. So a Pero, that's nice. I do like that one. Oh, that was a harvest the other day. Some broad beans, turnips. There's the chard, pink and yellow. Some kale, and then the some potatoes, white one, pink one, and the dark purple Majesty. That's a little pink one, and then the two purple potatoes above, the dark ones, Mick. That's it. That's him, Purple Majesty, bright purple all the way through. So he's quite tasty. Next one. Garlic, elephant garlic. That was a good crop. I was pleased with that. So the garlic's been good for me this year. Best I've ever grown. This purple one. That's from a clover. That's from a head bulb I saved last year. So that's been quite good. Just needs a bit of a clean up. But garlic has been good for me this year. 3 of my little small hostas that I've got just in small pots on the gravel, so as they don't get eaten by the slugs. So they're looking quite good. And some hostas. These are all the odds and ends down the bottom of the garden that I put in when I reshaped the garden. So there's some hostas, ferns, some other bits and pieces. But I seem to done quite well with avoiding slug damage this year. Oh, that's another shot of the pumpkin. He's getting bigger and bigger. But the trouble I've got, as you can see, all that growth is not weeds, it's oak. They're baby oaks, and I'm digging them out as often as I can. Yeah, they're a pain. We had an absolutely enormous amount of acorns over the winter, and I couldn't get rid of them all, but we'll get there sooner or later. Just the carrot beds, barrels again, all growing quite well. And the front barrel that you just see a little bit of it is long beetroot. Just having a play around with those this year. So hopefully we will see what comes out of there. And there's the long beetroot. Yeah, as I say, they're a lot bigger now. There's a couple of weeks growth on that. So won't be, fingers crossed we'll get something. That's the parsnip bed again, just from a different angle with some gladioli behind it. The next one, Mick. Sweet corn again. Plenty of tassels on there, so I give them a knock every time I walk past, spread the pollen around. So they're looking okay. Oh, my first run of beans, getting some beans now. Quite pleased with those. So everything for me seems a little bit late. There they are, first 3 run of beans. So yeah, it just seemed a bit late this year, but now they've started, they'll really go. And that's the celery a couple of weeks ago. So as I say, they're really about twice the size now. Really put some weight on. That's the curly kale in the under the mesh. Just keep picking that. It's just non-stop. Really do like that as a veg, the curly kale.
Yeah.
And there's the more tomatoes where I've just stripped all the bottom leaves off, try and get them to ripen. And that mesh is the shelf that I swing down and then bring back up in the winter to store stuff on. So they're doing quite well. Quite a lot of fruit there. That's the Evergreen Honeysuckle. Scent on that, not a great deal, but it is a massive colour, so we're quite pleased with that one.
Can you not smell that at night?
No, it's not got a lot of scent on it. No, very disappointing that, but it does give a good colour spread, as you can see, and berries as well. And then I've got a pink rose, climbing rose, the fairy, that is a massive colour, but all that will be cut back very, very hard this year to encourage new growth for next year. Every 3 years, every third year, I'll give it a really hard prune back, try and keep it in control, because it really does mass and it gets a bit out of control. So this autumn, it will be due for its big cutback. Delphiniums that have been nice this year, different colours. That's blue, pale blue with a sort of a lilac-y purple stripe on it. White one, that's really nice. That's been a good one. Yeah, all pale blue. That's been good. Well, I'm trying to save seed off that one this year. Won't get, it won't be true to that, but it will be. Might get something similar. And that pink one with the white blush on it has been really nice this year. So some nice delphiniums this year. And there's a reversed lighter blue with a darker purple on it. Some of my new. That's I think that one's Moonstone. That's a lovely rose, that one. Some really nice ones. That's Lowry. So there's been some good roses. That one, I don't know what that is, but it's got a nice scent to it, that one. Yeah, that's I know that's Shropshire Lad. That's beautiful scent, that one. Really, really nice. That one I just hacked out my mum's old garden and planted, and that's produces those orange blooms all every year. It's really nice. That's Shropshire Lad again. So one of the David Austin roses. So that's got a beautiful scent when you walk past it. Some Eucomis, that's sparkling burgundy Eucomis, and then a green variety to the left. So big pineapple lily, they're called. So we're waiting for those. Now those, when the pineapple lily, you get lots of little black round bulbils. And I sowed them 3 years ago, and that's what I've got. So you're not always going to get the same. So there's some green leaf ones, some purple leaf ones, real variety. So just keep growing them on and see what you get. It's always worth, and if you don't like them, give them away or plant them out in the garden somewhere. There's just some baskets on the wall that are slowly filling out, so that gets the sun all day. So that looks really nice. Quite pleased with those. And they're my bigger hostas in pots. They've again grown really well this year. They look after themselves. I'm quite pleased with those. And that's a real leathery one that the slugs tend to leave well alone. So that one is, as I say, really thick leaves. So that's quite one if you've got a slug problem. Right, now there's some flowers from Jeffrey's dahlias, just some that came out. And what I'll do is I'll pick the colours I like, I'll mark them, I'll lift them, and at the end of the year, I'll store those tubers. And then next year, I'll start them into growth again, take cuttings and grow them on. But getting a real variety of colours from Jeffrey's dahlias this year. That's one of the coleus that I'm growing this year. Very, very tight growth, but it's certainly different. But I don't know if it will make a plant for Malvern, a show plant for Malvern. But yeah, it's quite interesting. Hardly any sort of distance between leaves on the stem, so quite a tricky one to get under control. That's one that now I've cut back into shape, and that hopefully will make a show plant for Malvern. Will be that one or that one. So I've taken the top out and the sides, and it's now starting to show some shape and rapid growth. So it should make a decent sized plant. Okay. A couple of chilies, the Zimbabwe black chilies, sort of ornamental foliage, but give some little red chilies on it. I save the seed and grow those every year. So they're quite nice and ornamental. And the next one, that's calico. Again, ornamental variegated foliage. Make some nice little plants. You get little tiny chilies off them, but you get some ornamental plants as well. So they're good. And that's the fairy rose, just about to started. It was just a massive pink at one stage. It's beginning to thin out a bit now, but that is really a beautiful, beautiful rose. Okay.
Keith, excellent as normal.
No problem, mate.
Any questions for Keith? No, you've covered everything.
No. All right, mate.
Good on you. Cheers, Keith.
Cheers, Mick. I've got to go. I'll see you next week. Cheers, buddy. Bye-bye. Bye.
Right, top of the garden, still drying my stuff off. Right, blanch leeks. Blanching intermediates. Intermediates on the front, up to 10 inches. Blanch at the back end. It's usually every 10 days, 2 weeks, I take the covers off. Builder's damp course. Just have a look at the flags underneath. All the leaves, as you can see there, where the old one has deteriorated. It's just clearing up basically. Make sure there's no aphids or anything on. So your blanch leeks, 14 inch minimum. Intermediates, 6 to 14 inch. That's what I'm looking for. So I'll get the tape measure out and I'll clear all these lot off first. One nice clean skin. There is the veil. That is where they meet in the middle as the leaf goes round. If that veil split, they get down pointed. So that's what you've got to look at, where everybody's in the same boat. That's for sure anyway. Just taking the old flag off, you can see it's nice and straight, which is what I want. It is nice and white, which is what I want. That is what the judge is looking for as well. So I'm going to go right down to the bottom of the compost. I'm going to take the compost away as well down to the base, because I want to look at for the roots. The old flag I have taken off the leaf there, you can see where you've left a bit of skin behind, meaning that's going to be left on the base of the leaf. I want to get that off. I want to get it all off. See the roots at the bottom? I've gone all the way around and took all the old things off, meaning that now is going to shape all the same shape all the way around, nice and clean, no markings whatsoever. It's just bullshit for the judge when it comes for judging. You just about make sure the roots, make out the roots there, meaning I have cleaned him all the way around.
Nick, if you win that, how much do you win?
I think it's about £4.
Is it worth it, all that work?
Yep. Oh. It's when you auction them off at the end of the night. It's a brilliant night.
Ah, right, okay.
That's
Yeah.
what makes it all. So as you can see, just hanging the tape, got me 14 inch. So I've got the minimum which is required. So it was 1st of September, first week, Saturday in September the show. So I've got loads of time yet. So another 2 or 3 flags are going to come off there, which will jump up. Might jump 1.5 inches every time I take the flag off. So I know I'm going to get over the length which is required. Right, looking at the front ones, this is the intermediates. So clean them up as well. I'm up to about 10 inches, which is, I'm on par again. One thing I don't do, which I was out with the lads from Chesterfield last night, and then the one lad there, Baz, he writes down everything he does with everything and refers back to it. I just ain't got time to do it. So it's just, that's what used to come on, the collar that's just come off, 18 inch, and I'm putting the 10 inch collar on. So that will be his last collar, 10 inch collar, meaning that is going to give me 10 inches of blanch of white underneath. Keep the sun out, and my velcro strips around him again, and that goes right round to the base of the leak, and then I earth up round the collar. I'm going to put the straw back around that. Especially this weather, keep that moisture in, aids the evaporation. Once they are all done, you got to keep these nice and upright again. Sometimes they do need a bit of persuasion, so if they are tilting over just slightly, then persuade them by putting a cane in just to help them upright. So all these are now upright, and the leaves and the flags are also being helped upright by going over the things at the top. So after a couple of days, this is the growth of leaves on the inside, obviously the new growth I'm putting on. What I like to do is help them out, i.e. bend them over. This is midday when they're nice and supple. If you do it early morning or late at night, these might be a bit hard and you might split them. So if you do it midday when they are nice and supple, they will bend easily over the staging. And that's what we've got there. So them have all done, out the road. This was last Sunday, while we didn't have a Zoom.
Boston.
That's me and Paul up top, sorting the beer out. Somebody says, was I reserved in the football team? I like it. We just ain't no good at penalties, that's all. Never will be. Hound again, come for the daily. Small spray chrysanthemums, I've seen these little quid each. Now I've got a couple of gaps in the garden. Like, I've just cut his head off with Delphinium, so I'll put 3 of them in front of him, just for a bit of extra colour. And my Gladys, which I've planted either side of them, then will give me a bit of colour later on as well. These have started coming through, love them. We'll see another photo later on with there's more open. I love these and all. I mean, them 3 I said earlier on were my favourite flowers, obviously because I'm flowering now. And my Gladys, when they come out, they'll be my favourite flowers and all. I suppose it's anything that's in colour in it. Right, this is just looking at my top trellis. Can't see him very well there. This is about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. At night we're getting loads of these, because the hound goes bloody loop chasing them. First time I see them at crop sale, when they were chasing them. Something else is coming out there, and there's something else this side, and they ain't opened up. I forgot about them at all.
And the Cryolis, Mick. The red.
I'm not sure. Somebody might.
Daylilies. Daylilies.
Daylilies.
Yeah, American Daylily.
Oh, I'd even forgot I got them until they come up. Right, I need all this space down here, so I've cut back the edge from next door. Luckily, well, I said this last year, somebody will buy this house next door, or he'll flog it, look after the garden and get rid of this bloody privet here because it's a invasive bloody thing. Well, I've just cut that all back our side because I need all this space. I need pots down there for my fruit trees, and I need more raised beds for my Gladys. So I'm just clearing out. I'm getting there slowly. Right, potato gin. I did this one a few years ago. It came first in the category it was at our show. Meaning, if it comes first, it's a good one. Good job, impress the judge. And it is a simple one. 6 pound of old taters, water. Sugar, I use Demerara sugar now with everything. Gives it that extra kick. As you can tell, it's an old recipe. 1 ounce of yeast on toast. No, just get a little sachet from Wilco and put that on. But it's an easy one to do, and I'm halfway through keeping that. You leave it for 2 weeks. So I'll get my Demerara sugar, Wilco, normal yeast, and some old taters. Slice them up. Obviously give them a wash first. This is a big pan which I bought special for making wine. And I've just about got them taters in there. If there's any funny bits, scabs or anything on the tater, obviously compost them. But put your water in and boil them for what it says on the recipe. Strain all the juice out. Put your amount of sugar in, what it asks for, and you give that a good stir until it's dissolved. Yeast on top, and that goes in our airing cupboard with the lid slightly off. Now it doesn't mention on the recipe itself about stirring daily, but I have stirred it because you can see the difference it does every day by stirring it, which is to me common sense, but it is an old recipe, so I'm just updating that. But we'll come back to that one next week. Right, black currants, these give me loads now, and they are growing upwards, which I wanted. There's hordes on them. There's a bit of training I've got to do. This one here is too close to these two, so I'm going to pull him up this way and tie him up in the middle so he grows upright. Meaning he's still got space around him, he's still got air movement. So there's air movement around all the plants, which I've done there, which is around all my plants, fruit trees and whatever. Anything else I'm growing. Beans, once they start picking, keep picking, and especially in this weather, keep watering. Right, my first bed of Gladys, the spikes have just started coming on, and I went down this morning to give them a quick watering. Just have a quick perv because I didn't have time yesterday, and I've got 2 spikes that have opened up and flowered, so they'll be on next week's. Right, I pick a good dollop. I want to make some jam, plus I use them as my breakfast in the morning on a weekday with me yogurt. Wash all the gum off if there's any on. Whatever fruit you've got to get the same amount of sugar jam. Sorry, they got Asbestos in. Looking, I got some in. That is just about £1 pound in weight, which is good for me. So exactly the same weight in sugar. Bring it to the boil. You've got to have warm sugar, which microwave is perfect for that. Put him on for about a minute, then stir that with a large spoon, bung him in again, so the lot gets mixed in. So you stir in the warm sugar, and I'll just have a look. There's my jam, and it is a rapid boil for 4 minutes. You've got to stir all the time, all the while, otherwise it will stick. The jars that you need ready in hot water, meaning when you take the water out, you only drain these for a couple of seconds, but the glass is still warm, meaning when you put the hot jam in, it doesn't split the jars or nothing. I find it better put them into a jug, then you can tip them out with a jug easy into that. But before I did that, I put them through a strainer to make sure I get all the fruit in the one, which I never took a photo of. Little seal on top of it, and then my lid. kept overnight, and that's the test I do in the morning. Make sure he's nice and solid, because that's the test the judge will do when your bum is in the show. Right, I did this 2 days ago. Fill the water top of the garden, and then leave the lid off for 48 hours before I use it again. And this is nearly finished tonight as well, so I've got to fill up again very soon. First runners, spinach, curly kale, love it. Right, now we've got the summer back again, and it's bloody hot. Any flour, mix it up with a bit of into a paste. Use a fork or the bottom of a paintbrush and wallop. This is me tomatoes and my peppers side that in. That lot is done again now. Originally, the first day of sun, I just did the tomato side of it. Sweet corn down the plot. Only did one just to prove to people. I did it last year and I had 7 cobs on one plant. Just by exactly the same as Keith says, as you walk past it, not the plant, help pollination out. But this is the first year I've only had 3 cobs on. I think it's like everything else. I've had loads of stuff go to seed and whatever. It's just our loopy weather. We had that good weather earlier on. Then we had cold nights, because I can remember we had our heating on. If we was cold, the plants are cold. They ain't got a clue what's going on. They think they're going to die and go to seed, which I've had quite a bit do. And Paul, them are yours. I took a photo of them a couple of days ago on your
I saw them today. Lovely,
Lovely, man.
4 cows last year.
And this is Dougie. His son has took a plot on our site. And how long's it been? 43 years ago, when I was demobbed from the Navy, you always end up on a shore base, and I was at HMS Collingwood in Gosport. And for me to come home on a weekend, you had to get a ferry over to Portsmouth, then go to London, get the train, then to Brum. By the time I got home on a Friday night, it was Saturday morning, meaning it was a waste of time. So I used to hire a car out, and I used to drive up from Collingwood and go straight home. And I was on for 7:30, 8 o'clock. We knocked have a couple of hours on the ale. And this chap Dougie used to live in the next road, and he was at Collingwood with me. He was based there. I just went there to demob. So I used to give him a lift home in the, which share the fuel cost between us. 43 years ago that was, and his son has just took a plot on. When I said his son, I thought, bloody Nora, you look like someone I used to know. And he says, you used to know my father, Dougie. What a small world. Osmuck had that delivered by Skip during the week. Mark, that's gone now. Bring the stuff. What the wench does, because it's not in a stable, as you can see, there's no straw in it. Because they use the straw in the stables to soak up the urine. This is just nuggets. What her does is goes around the field and just picks the nuggets up. Perfect. I've licked 4 of them bags, took them home, and all I'm going to do is them, before I use them to top dress a raised bed, which I'll do next week, is I rub them out by my hands. It will break down quicker. But that day lasts long. Get out of it. How's that picture of me walking down? Right, that's my yeast through stirring on my wine. It works. This is when before the sun comes up or as it goes down on a night with this weather, as it's gone off the greenhouse. So I'm spraying again and knocking the canes as I'm walking past. Exactly the same with the chilies on the end. Right, that's the day after, so it's nice, set nicely. So I've put the, instead of putting the, because I've only got these large stickers left for the label. That was nearly the size from the top to bottom, so I put them on the top itself. It doesn't look soft on the side. So that is ready to show at our show in September. So he's put alongside with all the rest and the wine in the garage to sort himself out. Cucumber, which somebody bought down the shed. I was going to bin it. Nobody wanted it, so I bought it and put him in the tunnel top of the garden in between 2 pot leaks. He is doing perfectly, and I went down, just look at the chap hanging on. Mick, tie us up with a bit of string, help me out. Okay, mate. Tied him up, help him out. So he's doing well. Pick regular. But I always find the smaller cucumbers, you get a better taste out of them. Right, we had this last year, a climber, but he didn't do anything. I can't remember putting anything in, whether the seed has been blown in from someone else's garden or what. But I've just let him go. And the first year this year, he started showing flowers. I think last year that they just ended up like that. You can see the flower head, but they never opened. And we had these, and I pointed out to Lynn probably a month ago, we've got them flowers again, which don't open. And this was 2 days ago. Whether it's the heat or what, but they've started opening.
That looks like a Clematis, Mick.
Is it?
It looks like one, yeah.
Yeah. But I can't ever remember putting one in this side, you know, at the end of the tunnel. Unless it was a few moons ago. There's a better picture of him. It's a beautiful dark red. Love it. I've tied him up and all. Right, this is our show.
Oh, yeah, Lucifer, that is.
Yes, excellent. Thank you, sir. I knew somebody would have a better memory than me. Right, while our Ben was here, before he went back down to London, I got him to do these posters for us. We're throwing these up everywhere. This is our show. Basically, if you fancy a Zoom meetup, why not do it at our show? If you fancy a short weekend away, this is Saturday night, B&B. Saturday staging, as you can see there. And we got a premiere in, about 8 minutes away from the place. And
we got a travel lodge, you know, don't we?
Nah, this is better than premiere.
No, posh eat.
Nah. I was with my mates down Chesterfield. I was there last night. I had a session with them.
I saw you.
Oh. But Saturday morning staging. So the premiere is in Dan Starbridge. You can then see the show, stay for the auction on the night. It's a good day all round, day and evening. Zoomers which are participating or will be in attendance. Ones you know because they've done a talk on here. The Steve Medicott from Brum, Nick Blake from Chard, Neil Hans from Walsall. Neil's back giving us a talk on it, update next week. Jeffrey Stafford, I've even talked him into coming from Belgium. He's going to bring some stuff because he needs some stuff off me as well, so I can't send him through the post. Plus other local speakers exhibiting, obviously myself. And there's Mark Robinson, Paul Westwood, Paul Davis. And I've taught Muddy Boots into coming to do a film as well. He can film it for his blog, and we can do a blog for the Zoomers. So if anybody fancies Saturday night B&B staging. Steve, got your hand up, mate? Steve, you got a question?
I think he's lost his sound.
Has he? Okay.
Yeah, he has got a question, he said.
Well, I've got nothing where I'm silly writing because there's people been reading off what people have been saying earlier on, and I'm thinking to myself, how can they read that? Because I ain't reading nothing nowhere. Anyway, people, hope you've enjoyed it. 3 new speakers again. I think they've done us proud. Because everybody does different things, and if you just learn one thing a night, then it's good for everybody. Hope you've all enjoyed it, and see you next week.
Thank you, Mick.
Thanks, Mick.
Thanks,
Thanks all the
Mick.
speakers as
Cheers,
well.
Rick.
Cheers, people.
Bye.
See you later.
Nigel,
So,
like my background.
you mean the garden, are you?
Yeah, that's my banana. It's doing well now.
Top banana.
If you've got it, flaunt it.
I have.
Mick,
Yes,
thanks for the lamb shank. It was lovely.
good man.
Yeah, butchers now as well.
Oh,
That's where the sheep have been going over the back.
you are
You've been nicking the sheep from over the fields, are you?
perks in every
Perk.
job.
Yep.
Good deal. 9:30. We're going overtime.
Yep.
Good
Right,
night,
people.
all. I'm off.
Good night.
Yeah,
Good night.
I know. I'm
See you
wrong.
all.
See you all next week. Cheers, people.
Bye bye.
Ta-ra, mate. Stay safe, troops.